Stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned. I am here with the coach, John Brent.
And I'm here with the vet, Mr. N. Griffin, and it has been a minute, and I'm happy to be
Been
back.
a while. Oh my gosh, can you
Lots
believe this?
changed.
A lot has changed. We are no longer at the old talk, and
Correct.
for a while, I guess we would call it a forward logistics element, which we call a flea in the Army.
A flea.
A flea, a forward logistics element. But now this is the talk. Finally has been established about a mile and a quarter down the road. And so good to have you here, Coach.
Man, I'm glad to be here and wish we could show it all because it's an absolutely beautiful place.
Well, I will say, wife's happy, man's happy. So the wife's happy, so I'm good to go. So,
Yeah.
hey, but we have to talk about something. We have punted this, to be honest, down the road for about a week and almost 2 weeks now, and that is the midterms.
Yes, the midterms. We've been hearing for months about this. Well, first of all, 6 or 8 months ago, we were hearing about this huge, big red wave. Then we had the abortion issue with Dobbs, and they're like,
Yeah.
okay, it's kind of swinging, and it's getting closer. Then about the last 6 weeks before the election, we started hearing about this huge 30, 40 in the House, and the Senate being 54, 55 for the Republicans, this huge, big red wave. Well, it really didn't happen.
No, it didn't. But I will say there was some red waves in certain areas. I'm going to talk about that. And I heard some great commentary from Greg Gutfeld. Actually gave some of the best commentary I've heard regarding this election about expending political capital or not. But
Yeah.
I would think, Coach, that honestly you have to break it down into the House, you have to break it down to the Senate, and the governor race. Those
Yeah.
are three different style races across America. And depending on which one you look, what happened. But I would like to elaborate a moment on what Greg Gutfeld had said on the five was the Supreme Court expended the capital they had as it was the right time to go for Dobbs and Roe versus Wade. Knowing there will be outcomes that will affect this election, and it may affect one more election or two elections
Good.
regarding that. And I've heard some people say, well, because of that, certain places, they pro-abortion, they won out. Well, I will say pro-life also won out because if you look at the governor races, think about this. $200 million was spent in 4 races. $200 million was spent in Georgia race, Florida race, Texas race, and Ohio race for the Democrats. For the Democrats, they all got shellacked.
Yeah.
If you win 51 to 48, that's not a shellacking. But when you win at least 59 to something or 60 something to something, that's a shellacking. And each one of those combined was $200 million. Now think if the Democrats would have dumped $200 million in a few House races.
Yeah.
They would have still owned the House and Nancy would still have the gavel. That's not the case. So I would say the red wave did go right through the governor race. Now, when we start talking about other things, that's a different story.
Yeah, your state, like if you're talking about Florida and Texas, they're very conservative states anyway, but this really started before the pandemic, but definitely with the pandemic, with keeping things open, not having such a mandate of certain things like, some of the liberal states in New York and California, a lot of people not only applauded it and saw how the economy kept building here, but also a lot of people left those places and came here because they see the policies that the conservatives have. It doesn't have to be Republican, but just say conservative policies in a situation like that. When you can keep people moving forward, keep schools open, keep businesses open, and still protect yourself from a pandemic. And this, I say DeSantis and Abbott put down a blueprint of how to deal with when there's a problem nationwide, how to still keep your state moving forward. I think it's a good thing.
I think they're definitely something to mimic. And for other governors, regardless of the party you belong to, if you want to learn how leadership is, go look at those. Because let's throw one thing out here. We're still counting votes today.
Isn't that crazy?
And it is November 20, what? The 5th or 6th? 5th? The 6th, and we're still counting votes today. This is my question. How in the heck does a state like Florida have a hurricane, one named after me, Ian, go rummage all through the state? They go fix that stuff. They go count all the votes for the third most populous state in the nation and do it all in 24 hours and go, oh, that's done. That's certified. Now let's move on to the next hurricane where we got to fight,
It's a good thing and a bad thing to have states be able to take care of it themselves. If it was a federal thing, which I wouldn't want,
No, I wouldn't
and
want
everything
either.
was equal and say everything was like Florida, yes, it would be better on, the day after voting or the night of voting. But because we actually have this thing called federalism, you let your states, deal with how they want to. Some of these states are archaic. Some of them have their own system that they've used for years, and that's just the way they're set up. Maybe they don't have the money like Texas and Florida does to update a system if they need to. But it's terrible because of the way since 2016 with the Democrats saying, well, it was a election rigged for Trump won, and then 2020 for the Republicans saying the same thing for Biden, that we have these conversations when if it was just fixed across the board somehow, we probably would have less issues.
I would venture to say the state of Nevada, Arizona, and California and New Hampshire all need to go relook their laws and just say, hey, we probably need to do something a lot better than this because this crap ain't working. And I would just say it simply as this. And before Facebook, YouTube, and everybody else yanks us off for a question election, because I'm not doing that. But what it does do, the longer you keep the election open, it does bring question into the election itself. That doesn't mean it wasn't done fair and all that other crap. But it does bring the fact that everybody goes, well, is it really done fair after all that?
Well, and I think it's true because we're living now in a time where everything is, we want things fast. We want things, social media is a click of the button, fast food, fast everything, instant replay. I mean, you can even look at that in sports. We can figure something out. And then we have the most important prized possession that we have as an American, as the right to vote, go on for hours and days and weeks. And people are just like, wait a minute, we can do all these other things in seconds or in minutes, but we can't do the election in a day.
We can within a commercial break count how many people voted for the Masked Singer or whatever it is, but we can't count. Hold on, let me do it. 1. Did I say 1, 2? Did I say? Hold on, let me go back. I mean, it sounds like we got dumb.
Prison.
It's like we got dumb on dumb in there. I mean, we got pre-K kindergartners counting.
Sure.
Is what it sounds like. It shows a lack of efficiency whatsoever. So anyway, moving along, I'd like to talk a little bit about the Senate races because, there was talk about, like you said, 53, 54. We thought about that even before Dobbs and Roe versus Wade overturned. But I got to throw a dart out there to the Republican Party. Hey, guys, I'm just throwing it out here. Pennsylvania and Georgia was a walk-on for you. And all you had to do,
especially.
All you had to do was put somebody from Pennsylvania and groom them a little bit. And the same thing with Georgia, and it would have been a shellacking.
Oz and Walker are terrible candidates, in my opinion.
What you did was you went for party and personal loyalty, something the Democrat Party loves to do. You went for party and personal loyalty to the predecessor instead of choosing country and the people first. And if you would have chosen them, it would have been a done.
We had the blueprint. When Virginia won, the way Virginia won the governor a year ago, and it was not a pro-Trump, it was just conservative, talking about schools, talking about certain things that, critical race theory, whatever it was, the things that they talked about, and they won Virginia. That was the blueprint. If you take those candidates and you throw them into Pennsylvania and Georgia, Nevada, and Arizona, the Senate and House are both conservative.
So now this is the question I got, Coach. This moves away from the Senate, but we know that the Democratic Party dumped a lot of money in those two Republican candidates to make sure they were who they were going to fight against.
Yeah.
So that way they could win.
Smart.
They were smart. The question I got is, number 45 threw his hat in the ring. So are they going to dump money to 45 because that's the guy they can beat?
They should.
That's the guy they can beat because they can't beat the other guys. We know that.
If you're trying to win, you do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And that's one thing Republicans have not done well, is if you know you can win, do whatever it takes to win. I do think that if they send money to Trump, let's just say it,
I'm
the
just going to
Democrat,
laugh.
it's going to be a hypocritical thing. But in another way, it's like, do whatever you have to do to win. And what they did is that was their blueprint. Let's throw money at these candidates that are pro-Trump candidates in these Senate and House races and see what happens. Now they see it worked. Why wouldn't they do that?
Yeah.
The best thing for the Democrats right now is Donald Trump to be the nominee for the Republicans because I'm telling you, in my opinion, studying for many, many years of presidents and elections, you want to 100% put Joe Biden or Kamala Harris back in office or whoever they want to put, have Donald Trump run. At this moment, Donald Trump won at the moment when he won in 2016. It was a wave against Hillary. It was a perfect time for let's build that wall, make America great again. Those days are over, buddy. And unless we put someone like DeSantis or someone like Cotton or someone that's a conservative,
Yep.
We don't have a chance, buddy.
Yeah.
They'll bring out 100 million people to vote.
I will say this: is as long as you take the name Trump away, they'll walk in the White House. But you leave Trump on the card, they have a chance.
Or even a Trump candidate's going to be hard to win.
I don't think there'll be a Trump candidate, and I'm just saying because who would it be? Cruz maybe.
Well,
And Cruz won't win. He can't win. He can't win because he no independent or Democrat will vote for him.
No, absolutely not. And you take someone like DeSantis that just blew away by 20 points in Florida. I just saw a poll this week that has him and Trump, and it's an 18-point difference. DeSantis by 18.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
DeSantis, I think, is easily the easy choice. But I think I can name like 6 other people that could easily go.
And so my final thought on that was I was going to tell you was if Donald Trump was truly for America and truly for the conservatives being back in power, he would not have done this and he would step aside. I don't think he has that in him. Now, let's say he gets in this thing and he keeps having 14, 15, 16, 17 points behind, and they have these debates and he starts throwing mud like he does and he still has that. I don't think he's going to bow out. I think he will go to the very last moment, and that's just terrible for the Republicans because we need to have a candidate a year and a half out that everybody's behind that says this is our guy.
Well, I will just say this: some guy named Slick Willie, Bill Clinton won, and he was the 3rd guy in line.
Yeah.
And he was at the very end. They nominated him.
Guess what he came up with? Make America Great Again. He's the one that started that slogan.
So that's a little bit on the Senate. I think the Republicans got to look themselves in the mirror and say, dude, y'all screwed that up. But let's go to the House. No matter what you want to say, slim margins, big margins, whatever, the most divisive figure in the last decade of politics, Nancy Pelosi, is no longer the Speaker of the House. Right. Period. No matter what you want. No one has recruited more Republicans than that woman right there. No one has divided this country more than her. Some will say Trump, but I say she's been in politics a lot longer, and she's done it for a long time. No one has ran a campaign or ran her thing without sitting there going, she's putting her party first. And I will say for the Democrats, that's a big backer because she brings a lot of finance with her from all her supporters and everything else. So that's a big one there. But some will say, she is famously known for winning the Speaker of the House twice. She's famously known for losing that sucker too. I'm just throwing it out there. Right. You got to take and give both, So anyway, but it's good to see her fly the nest away. So
well, it's a huge thing because whoever's in control of the House also is in control of investigations.
Yes.
And so, you're going to go from investigating January 6th and January, Russian collusion, whatever they want to come up with, to now it's going to switch to investigating instead of a former president, which at the time when he was president they were investigating, to now investigating the President Biden and his family. So a lot of dealings that we've all known about that people tried to cover up for a year and say, oh, there was no laptop, oh, it's Russian disinformation, to come to find out that, hey, wait a minute, the laptop is real, the information on the laptop and emails are real, now what are we going to do with it? One of the things that I would have to say is just because we have a special prosecutor right now against President Trump for January 6th and Mar-a-Lago raid, I agree that that's the best thing to do is just get it out of their hands. There also should be one immediately for the Hunter Biden and the Biden laptop and all that. There should be a special prosecutor for that too, in my opinion. Just throw it to somebody that's independent, let them look at it.
I agree. I would like to see the House out of the investigating business and doing lawmaking business.
Let's do it.
I have no problem with investigating the border. That I don't have no problem. I understand the intent behind that because we've had administration out like, oh, there's no problem at the border. Sorry that we got the most people.
Joe Biden has never been to the border in 40-something years of politics. Now, we can say, okay, he was a senator from Delaware. But when you're the vice president running for office and become president, why are you not in Texas at a border?
Yeah, and Kamala didn't go to the border. She went close to the border.
Drug czar, bro.
Yeah, she went close to the border because, we're finding, what are those called? We're finding those root causes. We're still finding those root causes.
Yeah, they still
poverty, want to come to America. I'll name them. You don't have to research them because they've been researched plenty enough. But anyway, hey, this midterms, I think at the end of the day, and I think the best slogan I heard was the Supreme Court made a decision and it had rippling effects and it was on the backs of 1 million babies that were not born. And I think it was worth it. I'm
Yeah,
just throwing
and
it out
another
there.
thing that I wanted to do, and I've been doing it recently with my students, is we've always said for a year we have pro-life, pro-choice. From this point forward, it's pro-life and pro-abortion. I don't say pro-choice anymore, because every single person that is pushing, that is upset about not being able to have the abortion the way it was in Roe v. Wade, or however they want it up to the ninth month, is they're pro-abortion. They're not pro-choice.
Yeah.
They're pro-abortion. So from now on, with me, it's pro-abortion and pro-life.
And I just think that when we look at moving back to the election part, Coach, I will say I've heard many people go, "Hey, well, they did this and this and this," and I don't look at, even though I'm happy that Nancy's gone, and and things like that, and I'm glad that Beto is definitely not the governor. My guns are secure.
Thank God.
But to be in all honesty, it's what the people voted.
Yeah.
Even the Fetterman one, I understand why the Pennsylvania people voted that way, even though he's half-assed, not fully functional. I understand.
Dan
it.
Roethlisberger could have won that.
Yeah, because
I'm not even being silly. I'm saying someone with a name that's from Pennsylvania would have beat Fetterman by 10 points.
but the people spoke at the end of the day. That's what election is. It's, even though we all go to our corners and say the red and the blue and this, it's America.
Yeah.
The American people voted, whether you like it or not. The American people, the people of Texas said Beto is not the guy that represents the state.
Sure.
The people of Pennsylvania said Fetterman is the guy that represents their state.
Yeah.
As simple as that.
And I had one of my mentors, it's a coach, he's actually been a history teacher, coach, and a principal, sent me a message after the election, said, "Man, what is going on? I mean, we had this big red wave that didn't happen. We have all these conservative values that we just keep getting pushed back down." And I said, "Man," this was my thought to him, progressivism is real. And because of our younger generation, the one that we have now, and even the one that, they're, right before them, is pushing our country in a way, our older generations, like our fathers, are gone. And when we're gone, where's this country going to be? It's going to be more progressive. We're leaning more liberal by the day, and I don't know if that train can stop. And 20, 25 years from now, I don't know if there'll be any conservatives in major power. It's starting to be, unless the conservatives go more moderate, because these crazy right-wingers and crazy left-wingers are not where it is. But that moderate to liberal is swinging over to a majority of 53% of our country across the board.
Most people associate conservatism with Republicans, which is probably true.
Mm-hmm.
But we've watched this last 2 years the extinction, pretty much, of the moderate Democrat.
Yeah. But you know what's sad is we have seen hyperinflation.
Yep.
We've seen fossil fuels going away. Our industry here, energy independence going away. We see prices from rent to whatever you want to call it across the board going up. Wages only coming up 4%. Everything's up 10, 20, 30% depending on what it is. Gas prices double at one point in time. And the Democrats still get more votes than Republicans in most of these places.
Well, I think
What the heck?
a lot of that has to do with is people vote with what they feel comfortable, and a lot of people don't feel comfortable diving deep in. A lot of people just feel comfortable with that voting party ticket, and that's what their mom and dad
Well,
voted.
that's what I'm saying. What do you
And
think
we
about
we
that?
haven't got where we think on our own and go, okay, I associate with conservatism, but that dude over there is really good, and he knows what he's talking about, and I like voting for him, or this guy over here, we don't do that because we're too busy. Oh God, we'll break our own sin by doing that.
That's what I'm saying is you're right. Most people are voting party, but more people in this country right now are voting Democrat than they're voting Republican.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is I believe there's a shift in the type of population that we have, not just with minorities, not just with people coming from other countries, but I believe our young people are more social minded. They're more wanting equality, as you call it. They're wanting things to be easier and the government helping more than before. It used to be where we wanted to help ourselves. Now they not just depend, but expect the government to help them.
Well, I will say, Coach, by the numbers of the House vote for this year's midterm election, there was 53 million that voted for the Republican Party and 48 million that voted for the Democrat Party for the House. So that's a difference in 4 million people voted Republican. Now, we can say that's districting issues, gerrymandering, and all that other such. There was a 4 million plus for the Republicans in this normal election for the House. So
Just for the House, because if you look at the presidential election last time, we had an 8 million difference.
yeah. So
So like I'm
it's
saying,
some districting issues
Yeah.
which are there, and but at the end of the day, there's a good portion of America that if you split the country in half, 50-50, 50% Republican, and it's probably about 46 and 46, and then there's the independent in
Sure.
between. But if you take the Republicans and you take the Democrat, 30% of each one of them are always going to vote the color and not the candidate.
oh, I think it's higher than that now.
Well,
And that's
I was
what's
saying,
scary. Yeah.
well, actually, yes, but I was saying 46-30.
I got you.
Okay, but so I would say it's probably about 60 to 70% in actual percentile.
So my question would be to you: do you see, if you was a bet man and you had to bet where our country going to be more conservative or more liberal in 20 years, what would you say?
I think it'll be more liberal.
And that's why I'm saying there's a slippery slope that has begun with the social issues, with the equalities, with the college campuses and all these things, where it is going to a way it's like that ball rolling downhill. It's not going to stop. It's just how far is it going to go?
Yeah, I agree.
So-
I think it will be more liberal, and I don't think all liberal things are bad. I think majority of them are, but I don't think all of them are.
Sure.
And I think if it's done with open-mindedness and not just, hey, this is my party and I got to be extreme type deal,
Yep.
Anyway, so this is the midterms.
Yep.
The American people voted. At the end of the day, they
did.
said what they wanted to say.
The governor's one way, Senate
Yeah.
one way, House another way.
Yeah, it all went different ways.
And that's good.
The country said, Nancy, get the flock out of Dodge. Put the gavel down, walk
Yeah.
away, no more tearing up shit. 4-year-olds do that. So moving along from the coach,
To the vet.
it's time to stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned.